This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with the LG washing machine with the OE error, which stands for the drain pump malfunctioning. So you want to make sure you check the coin trap first, but often it's clear and the drain pump itself just isn't working. These drain pumps on the LG washers don't last very long, usually 7 or 8 years, and you got to replace them. So I'm going to pull the machine out from underneath the cabinet and I'll unplug it. And then I'm going to remove a couple of screws off of the back. Here's a little website where you can get the service manual for this machine if you'd like. And this is the new pump. And here's a little link to Amazon to get this pump for about 25 bucks. So they're pretty cheap to buy, but unfortunately pretty cheap quality, so they don't give you that many years service. So I'm just testing out the new one. And I'm removing the screws off the back so I can slide the top off. There's 2 Phillips head screws on the back, and I'm going to push the top away from me and then lift up and get the top out of there. And this is so I can remove the front panel. I'm going to remove this little Phillips head screw on the right upper corner holding on the console. I'll remove the detergent drawer. I'm going to push down on this little blue button and pull the drawer out. And then there's 2 Phillips head screws. They're long screws and they're also stainless steel. These are the ones that go in near the detergent drawer. They're designed to be able to get hit by the detergent and not corrode. So you got to make sure you put these longer silvery stainless steel screws back in. And now I'm going to use a little standard head screwdriver to help me pry off the top of the console where the clips are. And then I'm going to lift up the console and just push it out of the way. And then I'll remove some screws here at the top. These are just Phillips head, and these are holding on the front panel. There's also a little screw at the very bottom near the coin trap that I'm going to have to remove. And I'll need to remove the ring clamp on the front of the door boot. So I'll show you how to do that here in a second. You can remove the door boot first if you'd like. Either way works. So we got the screws out. Use a little standard head screwdriver to pry up on that ring clamp. Then I'll just pull the boot toward me, get the clamp off. There we go. And then I'm going to push the boot in toward the machine so that it frees up this front panel. There's one little screw here at the bottom I got to remove too. So I'm going to remove this Phillips head screw that's holding on this plastic case in front of the coin trap on the drain. And then I'll wiggle that whole assembly out. And there's one little Phillips head screw here, you can see it at the bottom. That's holding on the front panel also, so I got to spin that out. And now I should be able to get the front panel off. I'm going to lift up a little bit to get it off of its bottom clips. And you can either remove the door switch modular connector right here, or you can just kind of push the whole thing off to the side. Because now you have access to the drain pump. We're going to remove 2 little Phillips head screws that are holding the drain pump to the frame. And you can see there's still a little bit of water left in there. So you can tilt the machine back to 45 degrees to get the water away from the pump. Or I'm going to put a big clamp on this pipe coming from the tub down to the pump so that no more water will leak. You can even put a big towel down to catch any water that will come out, but it's best if you can put a clamp because it sometimes is a fair amount of water. So I just removed the clamp that was holding on this green connector. That's the drain tube, and I'm going to lift that off. A little bit of water came out. And now I'm going to grab with my pliers this spring clamp. That's the big black tube that connects to the tub, and I'm going to tighten tighten my pliers here and then get that clamp away from me. And now I've disconnected both of the pipes that are connected to the drain. And only thing that's left is I got to disconnect the power supply. So I'm going to push in the little drain tube that sticks out the front. I push that back into the frame. I'm going to lift the whole pump up at a slight angle. And you can see that it has a little slot that it fits into. I'll see if I can get a close-up here for you at the bottom. So you have to tilt it up at about 45 degrees to get it out of that slot. And then you can lift the pump out from between the frame and the tub, and that'll allow you to replace the motor. The motor and the impeller are the parts that aren't working anymore, but the pump housing you don't have to replace. So I'm taking off the two modular power connectors to the pump. Just grab them and slide them off. Here's the pump motor and the pump housing. I'm going to separate the housing. Notice the orientation. The pump is horizontal, but the pump housing is horizontal, but the motor itself is at a diagonal. It's an oblique angle. Just try to remember how that fits on there when you put on the new pump. So I'm just going to remove these 3 Phillips head screws that are holding the pump motor onto the housing. Then I can separate the motor from the housing. Then you can inspect the impeller, see how it spins. You might want to look, make sure there's nothing caught in there too. So this one, there's nothing caught there, but the impeller didn't spin correctly. It's kind of stiff. Here's the new one. The new one spins really good. Should have a feeling of moving and then a little resistance, and then it moves easily. But the old one is just really stiff, hard to move. So I'm going to take this plastic protective case off of the old motor. I'll have to pry it off. Just take your time, it'll come off. Slide it off, and I'll slide that onto the new motor. And just push it all the way in until it clicks. Okay, now we're going to connect the new motor to the housing. Remember, it goes on at an oblique angle. Push it in. Until it's flush. And then we'll put in those 3 Phillips head screws. So make sure you get these 3 in there tight, because you want that motor to be tight against the housing so no water can leak out. Remember, there's 3 screws you're going to put back. There's the 3rd one. Just check and make sure that all 3 are tight. Now here's the 3rd one. Okay, now it's ready to be put back in. We're just going to push the tub away a little bit to create some space, and we'll put it in between the tub and the frame. First thing is we'll hook up the power connectors, the 2 modular connectors first. There we go. Make sure those are on tight. And we're going to push the drain line through. Just take your time here. Feed it back in. And then make sure that you also, once you get it in position, make sure you add the 2 screws that hold the pump into position. 2 little Phillips head screws. And we're going to put the front panel back on. So if you disconnected the door switch, make sure you put the connector back on. We're going to feed the front panel back on those clips. And we'll push it shut, and we'll put those Phillips head screws back in to hold on the front panel. Once you have all those back in, we'll put the boot back on, and then we'll put the ring back on that holds on the boot. You want to put some liquid detergent on that so it's kind of lubricated to help you put on the boot or the ring, maybe even get a second pair of hands to help you. And then we're going to put that little screw on the console to hold it, and then we're going to put in those special anti-corrosion screws to hold on the panel underneath the detergent drawer. Push the detergent drawer back in. And we'll put in that little screw at the bottom that holds on the front panel. There we go. Put on the plastic cover. Feed the little drain line through that. And just push it on in, it clicks into place, and then there's a couple of screws that hold it on. There's a Phillips head screw at the bottom, and then one at the top. There we go, and then we'll put on the panel that covers it, click it shut, and put on the top panel. We're going to slide that on and then slide it toward us to lock it in until the seam is tight. There we go. And we'll put on the screws on the back to hold it. Take it for a test drive. We turn it on. It's draining great, and it's back spinning. So you will have your washer back working great again. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance.